I'd like to welcome David Bruno, a partner at the Bianchi Law Group, where he leads a team of former prosecutors focusing on criminal defense, domestic violence, and municipal court cases. Certified as a criminal trial attorney by the New Jersey Supreme Court, he's committed to ensuring fairness and due process. David is also a national TV legal analyst, appearing on Court TV and Fox News, and dedicates his time to mentoring aspiring law professionals through coaching and workshops. He also has a podcast called Nothing But the Truth that I guested on a few months back. David, thank you for joining us today. How
Oh,
are you doing?
it's such a pleasure, Lauren. Thank you for having me, and thank you for that great introduction.
Of course. So I want to bring us back to where we met, which was at the TEDx event in St. George, Utah.
Yeah.
Let's transport the listeners to those first moments meeting in Snow Canyon, sitting amongst the red rocks during a sound bath meditation. What did you think about this moment as an introduction to the TEDx experience?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, first of all, it's awesome to do a TEDx talk to begin with, right? And we all flew out there. We're all from different parts of the country, and we all have, a little stress, a little anxiety about the upcoming talk because it's something like nothing else, right? You go in front and you have a script, really. I mean, they wanted you to lay out what you're going to talk about, and that was new to me and new to a lot of others. And I was so surprised that they made it an experience. So you and we first met, I remember it clearly, at the coffee house at the bottom of Snow Canyon. We got an opportunity to be introduced to the rest of the group. And then we went out into the red rock of these beautiful red canyons. And it was such a great opportunity. We had a leader that was doing breath exercises, and we were meditating, and we were talking about our TEDx talks just to relieve that stress. So that was awesome to go through that with you and the rest of the crew. We took off our shoes. The leader had a drum that he was banging in the middle of this canyon. So just such a transformational experience for me. Lauren, I liked that so much that the next day we had our actual TEDx talks. I went back to that very place and I watched the sun rise. And I was practicing my TEDx talk in the middle of this exceptional place. And I will never forget it because interestingly enough, I was talking about the transformation that I went through COVID-19 and really following my own inner counsel and eliminating the distractions and the things in my life that didn't lead me to what I wanted to be in my life and with the people around me. But that point right there was transformational in and of itself. Really, that experience, meeting all of you guys and also experiencing that setting in the rock of Snow Canyon.
I wholeheartedly agree. I quickly realized upon arrival, this whole event and experience was so much more than just giving a talk.
Yeah.
It was a gathering of like-minded individuals, and we're all sitting together in nature, and it was about people who really had a story to share. And so I want to dive into this with you. Your TEDx talk is titled Reclaiming Time, a trial lawyer's journey to inner counsel. Let's dive into that. Tell us about the story you shared with us on that stage.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I come from a blue collar family. Neither one of my parents ever went to college. My dad was a mechanic and a used car dealer, and my mom helped with the family and the books of the business. And it was modest. We weren't poor, but at the same time, my parents taught me that hard work, grit, work ethic that was required to support our family. Early mornings, I recall my dad always saying to me, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Mm.
And like many others, and I'm experienced this firsthand with my kids, when we're growing up, we don't always see the value in the lessons that our parents give us. And I am that too. I always thought that I knew it all. And it really just kind of triggers later in life, and as it did for me. But with that being said, I worked hard. I was a wrestler. I was a captain of my high school wrestling team. We were top in the state. And I took that work ethic to the legal field. And I became an assistant prosecutor early in my career, 26. I did 4 years at Seton Hall. I graduated from New York Law School. I did a year of criminal defense, then went to the prosecutor's office at 26 years old. And right there, I was so fortunate to get on my feet and try cases because I knew that the success was going to come through experience. And most attorneys out there, they don't have the opportunity to get on their feet and try cases. I mean, in the larger firms, the more seasoned attorneys, well, they handle the cases, and the younger attorneys are helping carry the file, organize the file, and assisting the seasoned attorneys. And then also most cases resolve through plea bargains and settlements. So it's very, very rare to actually get the experience. So that was the place that I got my experience, in the prosecutor's office. And I excelled up to the major crimes unit, and I was prosecuting murder cases. I was going out to scenes of suspicious deaths and working with the pathologist to determine the cause and manner of death, and walking crime scenes and seeing blood spatter, and going to judges' houses for search warrants. All as a really young lawyer too. I was like the youngest one on the scene, surrounded by like captains of police departments, and it was just really, I had to like really show up, and I really had to show my value to those people. Right? So I left the prosecutor's office after 6 years. I got that great experience. And then I opened up a law firm with my law partner, Bob Bianchi, another TEDx speaker. And we excelled, but it was just the two of us grinding it out, getting good results. And what that required of me was maintaining relations with my clients, going to courts all across the state of New Jersey, sometimes late at night, early mornings, various different courts in a given day. And then I was also fortunate to start on Fox News back in 2016. I started doing national television, and that was so exciting. It was good for the brand. It was good for business as well. And I started doing it all and really spreading myself thin. It was early mornings, late nights, going into New York City for Fox, going to the courthouses, taking clients' calls nonstop. And really, it wasn't until COVID that really everything came to a screeching halt. Courthouses shut down, phones stopped ringing, and I had to do something. And what I did with my law partner is we started learning about business, about marketing, ads, landing pages, CRMs, all the great things to scale a business. And I'll never forget this, Lauren. I was out in California. I was in Petco Park for a Billie Jean is Marketing event. And he got a couple speakers on the stage. And one of them was Ed Milet. And I had never listened to Ed before. I didn't know who he was. I was there to scale a business. And he comes out. It was late at night at Petco Park. It was amazing with the lights. And he starts talking about his story and how he excelled, and started talking about mindset and habits and routines and being the one of your family to really change the trajectory of the family and things. And it really hit home for me because it gave me an opportunity to reflect on my experience up to that point. And it was a successful experience, all the things I did in the prosecutor's office, running a successful law firm with my law partner. But I realized that that trajectory was one of overwhelm and burnout. And in fact, I've recently learned that this is an issue that a lot of attorneys are struggling with. And I'll get to that later. But because of what I learned from Milet, I listened to his audiobook on the way home from California. I read his book, The Power of One More, when that came out. And then I started listening to all of his podcasts. And I started listening to Brendan Burchard and Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi and Mel Robbins and all these thought leaders in this space. Mm-hmm. And I really started to understand that that trajectory was burnout, that I had to get rid of the distractions in my life. Sports, watching footballs on Saturday and Sunday, and fantasy football and Netflix, and that's all good, trust me. But at some point, you have to audit your time because we only have a certain amount of time in each day. And we have the same time, you and me, Lauren, and also Bill Gates and Elon Musk, we all have the same amount of time. So it's all about how we use the time.
Like almost as if we
Yeah.
can't build or work fast enough, especially when you're in a world where you're presented with so many opportunities like yourself and want to take advantage of all of them.
Yeah, like in this, it's a fast moving world. And with technology, it could be a gift and a curse. All right. The technology is a curse with all of the things flying at us from all different directions. And it used to be just like television. Now it's social media. Now it's Instagram, it's LinkedIn, it's YouTube, it's all these things coming from all different places. So it needs to be almost like this awareness that these things are consuming our times. Because, especially for professionals and lawyers specifically, let's think about this. As our careers, we are obligated to help people through crisis. I mean, literally, we are dealing with other people's problems nonstop, 24/7. They're calling us and they have problems with their lives, their marriages, the consequences of a criminal charge, or whatnot. So as attorneys, we're dealing with their problems and we're also dealing with our own problems. And life just isn't easy, right? We got relationships to manage, we have businesses to worry about, we have to make sure the phones ring and the leads come in, right? So understanding that the time is limited and there are things taking away from our attention that are distractions, and then harnessing that and really focusing on what are the things that are improving our lives. And I just recently came to this epiphany about one of one. And that is, in essence, that first of all, we're one of one. All of us are one of one. We're so unique, there's no one like us, right? But in our lives, we have a lot of one of ones. Like, for example, I have a wife. I have one wife. I have one daughter. I have one son. I have one mom. I have one dad. I have one sister. And I started to get into this mindset that I want to take action and I want to make decisions to improve my one of ones, including myself, with the self-talk, with the habits, taking care of myself, hydration, nutrition, and time management. I think literally is probably the most important thing of it all, is to be able to manage all the things coming at you all at once and focus them in on what is going to improve your one of ones, including yourself.
100%. It's like this saying of the mask on the airplane, right? You have to put on your mask first before you help others. And I go back to this in life. If you're not taking care of yourself, you can't show up at the best of your ability for those who are meaningful to you and who you want to be there for.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting how you can hear one person speak, such as Ed Milet or Tony Robbins or Mel Robbins, and that just changes your complete perspective on life. And you question yourself, am I taking care of me? Am I using my mind to the best of its ability? And I want to talk about, David, leading up to TEDx and realizing you've gone through burnout and all of these skills you've now implemented into your life, and then what you kind of have done since giving the TEDx talk.
Yeah, absolutely. So post TEDx, it was really the first time that I expressed this experience that I had. It was the first time that I talked about my personal overwhelm. I hadn't before. I hadn't done any public speaking about it. Anytime you saw me, it was on Court TV, Fox News, talking about the criminal cases that are out there. And when I started to put that out to my community, my legal community, the lawyers around me, I started to get feedback and input and responses that, hey, this is something that other people are dealing with too. So I started to think, and I listen to Brendan Burchard every single day. That's one of my pieces to the morning routine I have a journal that I reflect and I talk about to myself, self-talk. Before I get on my phone and start scrolling, I'm talking to myself and I'm listening to Brendan Burchard. He's got this Growth Day app and he has an audio every single morning, motivational and real life stuff. And what I started to do is I started to take notes on it in my journal. And then I started to reflect on, well, how could today's message apply to lawyers? Because all these other lawyers are experiencing the same issues. And I started writing about it. I started posting about it. I started including this into my regular content creation schedule. And then I realized there's organizations that are also working on these initiatives. I've already been in a nonprofit for drug and alcohol addiction services and treatment, but I also realized my state bar association has a committee on attorney wellness. So I started reaching out to people and I got appointed to that committee on attorney wellness. The judiciary reached out to me, the courtside association of the judges, to be included in a small group to really improve attorney wellness in our jurisdiction. So really it's just overwhelming in a good way now that I have really focused my energy and what I'm trying to do and put out so that I could put out value to other lawyers as I start to think about this and how I got out of my overwhelm.
I think that's wonderful. Helping uplift other people who, just like yourself, want to work so hard, want to seize all these opportunities, and want to excel in their career, but also to let them know that they also can incorporate wellness into their routines, and that's only going to help them.
Without a doubt. I mean, especially that morning routine. Like, for example, me, all right, I'm up early in the morning. And you know what the first thing I do? On January 1st at 11:11 a.m., because that has spiritual significance to me, I did my affirmation for the year. And I talked to myself in a microphone and I laid it out and I recorded it. And then what I did is I went into CapCut. These are one of the skills that I learned after COVID, you know, the graphic design and the cutting of video. And I put a graphic on there that means a lot to me with my family. And I laid the audio over the graphic and I put captions on it and I listened to it every single morning as my affirmation. It's the first thing I do every single morning. And I go and I fill up my Yeti cups, 20-ounce Yeti cups with water. And I want in that morning session, I want to finish 2 waters because I want to get hydration. And then I go to my morning planner where I'm talking about what do I have to do today? Who needs me today? Who needs me on my A game today? What is a message to myself? And every time I write that message, I said, you're in the breakthrough. You know, early on, I used to say the breakthrough is coming. But I recently learned that the breakthrough isn't coming. I'm in the breakthrough.
It's
Like
now.
every single day is the breakthrough. So
Yes.
it's messages like that that remind me what my purpose is, what's most important. You know, recently I came to that epiphany of the one of ones. I want to improve, I want to grow, I want to make decisions to advance my one of ones. And this is the type of stuff that you got to write to yourself because you got to continue to affirm these things. You need to continue to get that right mindset. And did I mention anything about social media at this point? No,
No.
right? I'm listening to meditation music and instrumental as I'm doing these affirmations and writing in the journal. And then I'll go to the Brendan Burchard audio, which is about 15 minutes. I'll take my notes, I'll reflect on those notes, and then I'll do my exercise. Got the Peloton bike. I do 30 minutes every day, do 5-minute core, and then that puts me at about 7 o'clock. So I do all that before anybody even gets up.
Right. And
Before
then how
anybody's calling me, my kids aren't up. It's a complete morning routine before I even have to see anybody.
And then think about how you feel after starting your day like that as you enter into other people's demands or enter into work mode. When you've started like that, you're really setting yourself up for success.
Yeah, the key too is to have purpose and intention about your day, because it's all set in the morning. I mean, I like to look at my schedule the night before, but that's when it's fresh in the morning. When that starts, it's basically starting like a rocket, with the explosion in the morning, knowing what you have to do, knowing what the priorities are. And then what I also do, Lauren, is I block schedule my time. So I'll look at how many blocks do I have available around the meetings for the day. And then I'll set the priorities with those blocks. I like to use a timer for those blocks and then sit down and have the intention and the purpose to complete that task without looking at your phone, without going into social media or answering emails. There's a time and a place for that stuff. And trust me, I'm on. I post every single day on LinkedIn. I try to engage with my community on LinkedIn, but there is a time and a place for that, because the morning is important to get your mind right. Then the days are important to set the intentions and the purpose, and then schedule that type of stuff to engage with the community and to keep the algorithm popping with your content that you're creating, because that's important too, because then you get your message out.
The word that's coming to me when I listen to you is discipline. Because in this day and age, we have all of these demands and all of this information pulling us in a million different directions. And it's hard sometimes to have this discipline where, okay, from 6 to 7, this is my routine. And then this is what my day looks like. But I think it's so beneficial to have these routines. What are some of your tips to navigate the intense demands of pursuing such a career while ensuring your own wellness and life balance? Because I'm sure, like, some of these cases that you work on, how do you keep them from coming into like and infringing upon your personal life?
Sure, it's hard. And that's why I am making it such an initiative to reach out to attorneys to really educate on the time management aspect. Reclaim your time. Set up the morning routines, set up the evening routines, because in the middle of the day, it's going to come hot and heavy, especially with client problems. So, another thing that I learned a lot about is learning new skills, right? So when I was learning the skills of the business, I started to learn the skills of personal development. So I would say to those out there, there's always time to learn, right? So it may be learn how to do yoga, or learn how to do meditation, or learn communication skills that could communicate better with our clients and our patients. Also, set those routines in place so that you have the right mindset to manage the problems of others. Because I think that's the biggest problem with lawyers and other professionals that service others, is because we have to manage our own lives, which is hard enough, and then manage the problems of others. And then they start to become intertwined and they overlap, and then it becomes difficult.
Let's talk about gratitude.
Mm.
How has how let's talk about gratitude. How do acts of gratitude play into your daily routine, and what impact have they had on your wellness journey?
Sure. I mean, especially in the early morning. I mean, right when I talk about those affirmations that play that I recorded, I mean, one of them is you already have blessings in your life, right? I try to be a role model for my children. I have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old that are looking up to me and learning. I have a wife that supports me. Like, these are the things in my life that you have to remind yourself of, the blessings in your life already. Oftentimes, we're always looking to something else. The grass is greener on the other side is the common word. And literally, you have what you already are blessed with. And oftentimes, we're always trying to outreach to others when everything we need is already in our lives. So the gratitude and the appreciation practices of the morning routines and the evening routines and the constant affirmations really will remind you of those things and help you. Because again, the distractions are going to come. there are things, there are distractions, tons of them, especially on social media, when everybody's comparing themselves to others, when people are messaging other people. No, focus on what you have. Focus on the blessings you already have. You know who's big on that is Tony Robbins. And Ed Milet's big on that. Everybody's big on gratitude. I find that everybody has two common themes. Number one, have appreciation and gratitude for others, and then serve others, provide value. When you're serving others, you're getting the dopamine hits. You're feeling good about yourself. You're helping others, as opposed to the me, ego mentality where you're just consumed with your own. It's extending yourselves out. And that's another great thing about lawyers, because our occupation is about helping others. Like, it's what we do. It's the responsibility we have. We have clients that are struggling with problems and crises. So we have that opportunity to help others through what we do as a career.
That's so true, David. It's not about what can I get out of this situation? What do I need? It's about what can I give and how can I be of service and help other
Yeah.
people based on the lessons that I've learned in my life.
Sure. I mean, I'm just looking at like my social media strategy, for a while. And it's like, hey, I'm on TV. Here's my video, this and that. That doesn't work. It doesn't grow the community. What's growing the community now? What I'm seeing engagement and conversation is just like this week, I'm talking about cross-examination tips. And here are ways to make you better as a lawyer and things like that, the wellness principles and the reflections. That is what it's about. It took me so long to figure it out because I wasn't purposeful about it. I wasn't intentional about it. I wasn't journaling about it. And who needs me today? And what do I want to put out there to serve others? So it's like we need these experiences like the Red Rocks and Snow Canyon and the COVID-19 where the phone stopped ringing, you got to reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
Or even when you're struggling to pay bills and you need to come to a decision and say, you know what, things have to change. I have to change my mindset. I have to change my morning habits. I need to change my time management structure, right? Because I'd rather be proactive than reactive. And for anybody listening to this, reach out to me, send me a DM. If you need help, you want to follow my content. I love the comments, the engagement. I'm in my comments, responding to everyone because I'm out there in the community and I know that people need guidance on this, as I did.
They do. And so often people can feel alone, but the reality is there's so many people out there who want to help. So what are some tips you have to someone who maybe feels stuck or feels overwhelmed and really needs to dive in and do that inner work but doesn't know where to start?
Yeah. Well, guess what? I think for anyone in that position, first, get out a pad and just start listing out the blessings that you do have in your life, the appreciations that you already have in you'd be amazed. All the people that if you sent a text message to or a phone call or a DM and start building from that. That is the place. There is always a place to start with a blank page and just starting to, and I did this actually. I did this because one of my goals for 2024 was community. I want to grow the community. It's for business reasons, for personal reasons. And we, in my office, we were in this very room and we started to lay out a strategy about community development and growing the community. And what we were doing, we were strategizing, we were talking, and we didn't realize that we already had a community. Who's already in the community, right? We realized that we had attorney referrals coming from other lawyers over the last 3 years that we categorized in our CRM. And those people aren't even in my LinkedIn connections. And those people weren't in my CRM getting my newsletters. I was like, everybody is extending to these new things when in reality, the foundation is already there. We just have to be purposeful and intentional about it. So those are the things. Figure out what the blessings are already, and then manage the time better. And then set up those morning routines, affirmations, whatever works for you. It doesn't have to be exactly what mine is, but it's an example of what can be a morning routine that really propels you through the day.
Thank you for sharing. And another big thing people struggle with, I think, is feeling like they have the confidence or the self-worth to be able to share who they really are. And
Mm.
for both of us, standing on that TEDx stage, that was a big moment for me where I feel like I ripped my heart open and was like, here's what happened to me and here's what I learned from it. And same to you. And how can we use this to kind of share our story? And you just never know what's on the other side of that. So I encourage more people to share what you're about and like what you've been through, because that'll help guide you towards your people.
Yeah. So if anyone's struggling with self-confidence, this is something I learned from Ed Milet, the first one that really propelled me into this space. And that is, keep the promises to yourself. That is, get these goals down. What do you want to do? Do you want to have a morning habit? Do you want to wake up at a certain time? Do you want, right? Those are the things. And it could start small, incrementally. There's a book out there, Make Your Bed. And that could be like the basic first step of keeping the promises to yourself. And that is make your bed, right? Or start to hydrate yourself, or get out into nature. I love taking walks, and I love the fresh air, and I can't wait till it gets a little warmer. We're filming right now. It's the Northeast in New Jersey, and it's a little cold. But even when it's cold, getting out there, getting a fresh breath, taking a moment, slow down. We're just moving so fast from thing to thing and meeting to meeting and Zoom to Zoom and this and that. Just slow down. Keep
Yeah.
the promises to yourself, because that's when the momentum starts. One of my favorite things to say for my team and in my posts: keep up the momentum. Keep up the momentum. Day after day, win after win. And there's going to be bumps. There's going to be potholes. But if you get in the right mindset to be able to really deal with it, address it, that's another thing too, the procrastination, right? A lot of people struggle with procrastination, especially for the things you don't want to do, right? The one thing that you don't want to, for people that are struggling financially, it might be they don't want to check their bank account, or they don't want to open up the bills, or it's this tough case that you have, you don't want to dip in or call the client. Hit those things head on. Literally, that's why they're dragging. That's why it needs attention.
It needs
And
attention, and it gets bigger if you ignore it.
if you ignore it, it's the thing that you're dwelling on too and worrying about, and the double stacking in your mind, and it goes round and round, and the worry. And procrastination is the thief of the present moment, because what it does is it steals your present moment because you're worrying about the things that you have to do. And what it also steals, it steals your future too, because those things will inevitably have to be done. So if you don't do them now, they're going to take time in the future in front of something else. So it's stealing the present moment, and it's also stealing the future.
It's so true. And all of the habits, the routine, the structure are what enable us to be present in the moment, because we know we're taking care of ourselves. We know we have things in order and under control, and we know when we need to be on, and we're able to be on because we are taking care of ourselves.
Absolutely. Can I just get something real quick?
Sure.
Yep. Hold on. I'll be right back. All right. So I wanted to get my planner. All right. This is the high performance planner. This has changed my life, literally. And when I think about a habit, I think about the one thing. Gary Keller has a book out there, The One Thing. What is the one thing that I need to do every single day to keep up my momentum? And that is this planner. Okay. So I could go every single day, I'm writing in this planner. And it, on the left-hand side, it starts off with today's message to myself. And it's a repetitive every morning. And then it goes through the morning mindset. One thing I can get excited about today. One word that could describe the kind of person I want to be today. Someone who needs me on my A game today. A situation that might stress me out or trip me up today. And the way that my best self would deal with it. Someone I could surprise with a note, gift, or sign of appreciation. One action I could take today to demonstrate excellence or real value. One thing I could do outside my comfort zone. If I was a high performance coach looking at my life from a high level, I would tell myself to remember this is the breakthrough's here. You're in the breakthrough,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
Big projects I need to keep in mind that even if I can't do today, I need to think about. And I know that today was a great day if at the end of the day I said this to myself. That's just the prompts for the morning. Every
Wow.
morning, just think to yourself. If you had that as first thing in the morning, after you listen to your affirmations, you're drinking and hydrating, and you're planning out your day after that. You know what I always do too? It always prompts me to send a morning message to my mom, dad, and my sister. And even if it's, I love you, I miss you, right? Because that's someone I could surprise with a note, gift, or sign. Every morning I put mom, dad, Chrissy, my sister.
Absolutely
So
incredible. And where can people find this journal?
this is called the High Performance Planner by Brendan Burchard.
Okay.
And I highly recommend Growth Day too, because that's listening to the audio every day. And guess what? Ed Milet just joined. He's a partner now with Brendan Burchard. So
Wow.
I get Monday morning motivation by Ed Milet with Brendan Burchard and Mel Robbins, and it's just this is what it could be. Once if you're living purposefully and intentionally, setting off the days. And I woke up late a couple days ago. My day started off like flat, really. And I said to myself, the snooze button. You can't hit the snooze button because it really changes the trajectory of that morning. Because if you can't get up early and the phone calls stop coming in, and you have to be on the phone or in court, you don't get to do this in the morning.
Which is a
So
huge reward, and it's the accountability piece. So I think it's so incredible, the discipline and the routines that you've set for yourself.
yeah, it's life-changing. It really is. It really is. And then also, I think it's so important, just once again, understanding the blessings we already have in our lives. Everybody is so overextended on social media, trying to get new leads through business, but still understand that there are things in our lives that we have to be grateful for and appreciate. And then that type of mindset starts to get into a regular mindset that's positive growth, improvement.
Incredible. Thank you so much. It's the mindset, right? And how we're looking at the world and the lens through which we're seeing it. And so much of that is dictated
Mm.
by our self-care and our wellness routine. So thank you for all that you've shared, David. Is there anything else you'd like to leave our listeners with today?
When you talk about time management, also audit the time that you spend in your days, because you will see. I mean, we have some tools on the phone. You could tell how long you're in Instagram and how long you're in TikTok. I mean, those all count too. The time that you put into those apps are part of it. And then how about, the Netflix and the series that you're watching? Look, I do get value out of watching some shows because I'm with my wife and we make it sort of part of the routine. But just if it becomes overwhelming and becomes too much, it's just taking you away from the things that could improve those one of ones. Back to the one of ones. The one of ones. I have baseball cards, and I recently got into like football cards, and nowadays, and back when I started with these cards, there were no one of ones. There were like a lot of the same thing, and the real value comes from the uniqueness of the one of ones. We could talk about it with art, with the famous artists. We could talk about it with cards or something like that. But we are one of ones. No one's like us. We are unique. It starts with us. And then if you're fortunate enough to have those others like I do, and I know everyone doesn't have all of those things. That's where I know I'm so, I'm grateful for those things I have in my life. But I could challenge everyone. I guarantee they could find the foundation that they need and then nurture those relationships. And then they could start to build off that foundation. Start at the beginning.
Incredible. Celebrate your uniqueness and know that it's untapped, and celebrate those around you and all that you have in your life.
Absolutely, Lauren. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for
Thank
having me.
you. Thank you so much, David. I'll talk to you soon.